Hi everyone, it's Elsie here with a Hip Kit Club layout. I'm using the February 2020 kits for this page, and I was also challenged to do some fussy cutting and use the Pink Paisley Bloom Street sticker book that's in the main kit on this page. So as you can see, I'm starting off with a few pattern papers and I'm going to do some paper piecing. So if you think about it, paper piecing is a kind of fussy cutting. Because you're just basically selecting your favourite bits of pattern paper, cutting them to whatever shape and size you want, and just obviously putting them all together to create an image. So it is kind of fussy cutting, and you might be able to tell or might not at this stage, but I'm basically creating a cake. I was inspired by, I think they're from Pebbles, the gold phrase stickers that are in the embellishment kit. And there's lots of kind of like party words on there. It's like celebrate, happy birthday, thank you, that kind of thing. And yeah, I decided to sort of go with a party theme. I was a bit stuck for ideas, so yeah, looking at your embellishments and sort of the themes of certain collections is a really great way of sort of figuring out what kind of design you want to make. So yeah, the papers I'm using are both from Bloom Street. Yeah, I just used two of those papers. So that pink one that I used for the cake bit of the cake is just a really lovely sort of subtle watercolor kind of pattern. And then for the icing, I used that raindrop paper, and I thought that kind of looked a bit like sprinkles, like funfetti. So yeah, I thought that would be a really sort of fun paper to use for the icing, to kind of get that sort of celebratory look, I guess. And then I'm using this blue paper from the cardstock kit. It's my absolute favourite blue of all time, that colour paper. And yeah, I just traced or I drew the cake stand and kind of making it look a bit scallopy, and yeah, I thought that looked quite festive. So yeah, I was going to use a pattern paper for the cake base, but I just felt like it made it too busy, and I wanted to use that yellow gingham paper at the bottom of my layout. So I just thought it was like too many patterns, and yeah, it just didn't quite work. But yeah, the blue paper worked really nicely, I think. And now I'm just sticking all of the elements onto some white card, and that's just so everything, you know, is kind of glued together, and also it just makes it a lot easier when I'm doing my stitching. So I'm going to hand stitch everything, and this actually didn't take as long as I thought it would to sort of stitch all the details, and it really does add a lot of details and definition, as you can see. And I just use coordinating colours of thread, so like, you know, pink for the pink cake and blue for the cake stand. And I just think it just looks really sort of fun and springy, and yeah, just very sweet, pun intended. So that yellow gingham paper, I think, is my favourite pattern, bold statement, in this month's kit. I love it. It's just so sweet, and that's from the Pink Fresh Studio Noteworthy collection. And yeah, my original idea was to have, you know, like sort of create some bunting, like a bunting banner on the cake. You know, they have those cake toppers that are bunting, but the cake ended up being too big and it just looked a bit silly, so I just left it. And then now I'm doing my second kind of fussy cutting, and I think all the flowers are on paper 12. Again, they're from the Bloom Street collection, and they're quite large, but they work really well in proportion to the cake. So that was like a happy accident. And then these are the thickers that inspired the kind of cake celebratory birthday thing of this page. And I just decided to stick that celebrate title on top of the cake to make it look like it was one of those cake toppers. Yeah, and I really like that gold as well, because it's not a super bright gold, it's like that kind of dull gold. So yeah, it just works really, really well. And as you can see, I'm kind of clustering the flowers that I fussy cut sort of on the edge of the cake and also around my photo, and that just kind of helps frame everything, and yeah, it just makes it feel really sort of festive. And yeah, I was feeling very springy as I was making this page. We've had a lot of storms here in England, and I say storms very lightly because I know in other parts of the world you have horrendous storms. Like over here it just gets a bit windy, but yeah, it was just nice that I was making this, the sun was out, so yeah, I was just feeling all springy. And yeah, as soon as I sort of added the cake and the flowers, everything just kind of came together, because they're kind of such bold sort of statement pieces. I didn't really need to add too much more. And then I decided that the top right corner needed something, so I decided to again use one of the papers from the Bloom Street collection to create my own bunting. So it's got all these little arrows in all the different colours, and I decided to just cut a few out in all the colours of the rainbow and stitch them together to create a little bunting piece. And I'm just popping them up on some foam dots and adding them to the corner, and it's just, yeah, it just felt like it rounded off the page nicely. And also the fact that it's bunting in a rainbow order just pleases me way more than it should. So yeah, and then I realised I hadn't used a sticker book, so yeah, that was a perfect excuse to bring it out. And there's lots of sort of butterflies and little like sort of, I guess they're bees or wasps or something. And yeah, I'm just adding them to the page. I'm also using my anti-static powder tool to take the stickiness off of them, because they're actually quite sticky, these stickers, just so I could sort of play with them and arrange them in different places on the page. And yeah, I also put them up on some foam dots, and I felt like that just really elevated them and made them look like they were sort of fluttering about the page. And yeah, it's a perfect finishing touch. So yeah, here's my layout. I really hope you enjoyed this process. I will leave links to the kits below, and yeah, the February kits are amazing, but the March ones have just been revealed within the last week, and they are seriously stunning as always. So yeah, links to everything below. I will see you next time for another video. Bye everyone.